All right, welcome to our explainer, decoding the ancient and profound wisdom of the Ganeshpuran. Today, we're going to unpack how some seriously deep mythology translates into life lessons that hold up just as well today as they did thousands of years ago. We're not just looking at a collection of divine tales here. This is essentially a masterclass on the power of humility, the absolute superiority of intellect, and the very real, inescapable laws of karma. So let's jump right in.
So, let's kick things off right at Mount Kailash. Imagine this. A massive cosmic debate breaks out among the gods, and it gets so heated that Lord Shiva actually declares a cosmic race to settle once and for all who truly deserves the right of first worship. Everyone is dying to know, who is the absolute greatest deity in the universe? It's the ultimate competition, totally fueled by the pride and ego of the most powerful beings in existence.
Section 1. The first worshipped deity.
Now, it's fascinating to see how the different gods approach this ultimate challenge. You've got heavy hitters like Vishnu and Indra relying entirely on raw, physical force, literally tearing through the cosmos on blazing fast vehicles like the giant eagle Garuda, the elephant Airavat, or even a 7-horse chariot. But then you look at Ganesha. He just stands completely still. He realized right away that this wasn't a drag race. It was a test of profound wisdom. He figures out that his parents, Shiva and Parvati, literally encompass the entire cosmos. So, what does he do? He just hops on his little mouse and calmly circles them 7 times, totally winning the challenge. When the other exhausted gods finally get back and ask him what happened, his answer is just brilliant. He simply says, "My parents are my universe." By circling them, he'd essentially traveled the whole of creation without breaking a sweat.
Because of this absolute masterclass in wisdom, Ganesha was granted the eternal right of first worship. He proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that intellect and devotion will always conquer raw power. And from that exact moment, Lord Shiva declared that absolutely no auspicious work could succeed without worshipping Ganesha first. That's how he officially became Vignaharta, the remover of obstacles, and Siddhidatta, the giver of success.
Which brings us to Section 2, Karma, Ego, and Redemption.
To really see how the Puran tackles the inescapable heavy law of karma, let's look at the story of King Sukhant. Now, this guy had it all, and he was incredibly proud of his handsome looks and his wealthy kingdom. But out of nowhere, this sudden, incurable leprosy starts rotting his body, completely shattering his ego. Wandering in total despair, he ends up abandoning his kingdom and sitting beside this withered banyan tree in the forest. And as fate would have it, that is exactly where the great sage Maharishi Bhrigu finds him.
This is where it gets crazy. Tracking his soul's journey, the sage reveals that Sukhant's current suffering is a direct hangover from a past life. Turns out, Sukhant used to be this wealthy, super arrogant merchant named Kalyan. In that life, Kalyan actually mocked a pure-hearted devotee, physically smashed a mud idol of Ganesha, and even destroyed the very banyan tree that devotee was sitting under. It's a literal chain of cause and effect. The horrific crime of his past life directly birthed the intense suffering of his present one.
So what's the fix? Well, the sage tells Sukhant that the only cure for this massive karmic ego is to completely recognize his past wrongs, totally surrender his pride, and listen to the Ganeshpuran with absolute, uninterrupted focus. And you know what? The second Sukhant takes this profound vow, it's like a miracle. His leprosy just vanishes. It proves that, yeah, karma is incredibly strict, but absolute devotion can rewrite your destiny. Moving on to Section 3, the devoted son Balal.
The text then weaves this incredibly complex karmic web, taking us over to the prosperous but deeply sorrowful kingdom of Kandanyapur. We meet King Bhim. Like Sukhant, he's got the wealth, he's a just ruler, but he's dealing with this agonizing void in his life. He and his queen just cannot conceive a child. Desperate to figure out why he's being denied an heir, he heads into the forest to consult the great sage Vishwamitra.
Okay, remember that incredibly cruel merchant Kalyan from the last story? Well, buckle up because the sage reveals that King Bhim's wife was actually Kalyan's wife in her past life. And when Kalyan violently tied their son Balal to a tree and brutally beat him just for worshipping Ganesha, Balal cursed his father. That heavy karmic debt of disrespecting a true devotee didn't just fade away. It literally carried over to her next life, manifesting right now as King Bhim's painful childlessness.
And even while being tied up and beaten in the forest, Balal just looks right at his furious dad and firmly says, "This is not merely a stone, it is my Lord Ganesha." I mean, talk about unshakable faith, right?
Because of that unbelievable devotion, Ganesha actually appeared personally to rescue the boy, turning that spot into a sacred site forever.
So, Vishwamitra gives King Bhim a very specific roadmap to clear this massive karmic debt. He has to travel to an ancient temple built by King Daksha, chant a powerful one-syllable mantra, and perform a sacred ritual with purely good intentions. By following those exact steps, the karmic slate is finally wiped clean, and his son, Rukmangad, is born.
All right, Section 4. Birth of a Demon.
Now the wheel of karma just keeps on turning, leading us into this wild story of deception and actual cosmic warfare. It all kicks off when the god Indra pulls off a major deception. He disguises himself as King Rukmangad and completely tricks the queen, Mukunda. Because of this, she gives birth to a boy named Gritsamad, who grows up entirely believing he's a pure scholar. But later on, at a major gathering, his deceptive lineage is just brutally exposed for everyone to see.
When the truth finally comes out, it is explosive. We get this devastating exchange of curses between mother and son that literally sets the stage for a universal catastrophe. Horrified by where he actually comes from, Gritsamad violently curses his own mother to turn into a demoness. And Mukunda, in her own pain and fury, she strikes right back, cursing her son to father a terrifying, cruel demon who's going to shake the very foundations of the three worlds.
Absolutely wrecked by his origins in these awful curses, Gritsamad retreats deep into the wild, and guys, his penance is intense. He stands on one single toe for 15,000 years, literally surviving on nothing but air and dry leaves. Finally, his incredible singular focus forces Lord Ganesha to appear, granting him immense blessings and allowing him to establish the sacred city of Ganeshpur.
But here's the thing about karma. You really can't outrun it. The mother's curse still had to happen. From the sheer, raw force of Gritsamad's sneeze, yes, literally a sneeze, a fiery, aggressive demon child named Tripura is sneezed right into existence. Knowing exactly what the prophecy meant, Gritsamad just tells the boy to go and worship Ganesha.
And what does this demon son do? He perfectly copies his dad's 15,000-year penance playbook. Because Ganesha is bound by cosmic law to answer true asceticism, he actually grants the Pura 3 totally indestructible flying cities made of gold, silver, and iron. Armed with this crazy invincibility, Tripura just systematically conquers everything. He drives the gods into hiding and even forces Shiva completely off Mount Kailash.
So now the gods are totally cornered. In a moment of absolute desperation, they realize the only one who can take this power away is the one who granted it. They pray to Ganesha, and he's just incredibly calm about the whole thing. He reminds them the wheel of time always turns. He promises to orchestrate the demon's downfall, proving that even the greatest boons have their limits when the balance of the universe is threatened.
Finally, Section 5. Timeless lessons for today.
So, we've covered a ton of ground today. Vast cycles of time, wild curses, unbelievable boons. But the core takeaways are crystal clear, right? Ganesh's cosmic race proves that intellect absolutely trumps brute force. King Sukhant's story shows us that an unchecked ego practically guarantees future suffering. The interconnected past lives prove that karma is a chain we just cannot break. Yet, above all of that, sincere, pure devotion is the ultimate cheat code for redemption.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about the obstacles in your own life. Ask yourself this: where are you using sheer force when you should really be applying wisdom and humility? Just like those gods zooming around the cosmos trying to win a race, sometimes the absolute best way to move forward is just to stop, reflect, and recognize the universe right in front of you. Thanks so much for joining me.